morning parade. The keynote of their training is the transmitter key, and in their up-to-the-minute classroom they learn to send Morse. Wireless air gunners call themselves WAGs, but their job is serious. When skilled on the key, they are next made thoroughly familiar with the wireless receiver and transmitter, learning the game from the ground up in the blind flying trainer, where behind closed doors they handle apparatus under realistic conditions.
Thank you.